We talking about all things sports. We talking about all things sports. We talking about all things sports.
What's up, everybody? You are Talking Sports with Mike and PL. I am your co-host, Mr. PL Coulter, and back in the plush Dallas studios is my right-hand man, Mr. Michigan Mike, Michael Hasso. What's up, my man?
Yo, what's up?
What's going on, man? So, you said it, you would do it, and you did it. You went down to Miami, and you got LeBron to lead the Heat. How'd you do it, man?
Yeah, man, I just told him, I was like, hey, if you leave and come to the Cavaliers, then you can get Love, and then it'll be one good team right there. And he's like, Mike, you know what? You're right.
Yeah,
And then we started fighting because, he's an Ohio fan, so.
You know what? Right on. And as he says this, ladies and gentlemen, he has on a Hell to the Victors Michigan t-shirt. It's only
of course
Michigan,
I do. Yeah,
Mike. Hey, that was Lord Carr's last game. Good job by you, Michigan. Mike, good to have you back in the studio. Now, I know you've been watching, keeping up with the NFL because there's nothing else going on right now but the NFL. Preseason is underway, my man. Every team has played at least a game. Got a couple of teams underway. Your team's underway right now. Just had a pick six, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Eagles up over the, I don't know. I think
the Patriots just scored.
They just scored and tied it up.
Yeah.
Right. So, what is your overall view of what you've seen so far the preseason?
Preseason, everybody looks pretty soft. I want to say if they don't
I'm sorry, pretty what?
Soft.
As in S-O-F-T?
Yeah.
Please elaborate.
I mean, as far as like making tackles, making hard tackles, it looks like they're. I mean, I can't really blame them. It looks like they're trying to not get injured. But like previous seasons, they were going at it, even in preseason. I mean, it's football, full pads against another team besides your own. But yeah, they're definitely. You can tell that they're playing off or they're not hustling to the ball. Just they look soft.
So you must have been watching the Titans game against Green Bay last week because that tackling was atrocious.
Man, it's every team, man. It's just not. It's just not theirs. I mean, it's the Eagles, it's the Cowboys, it's everybody, man.
So why do you think that is this year particularly?
I think with all these injuries going around, maybe they don't want to do it in preseason, because that's when people are trying to make the squad and make their make their money. Maybe they were just waiting for regular season.
Right, and the new CBA and the scale back practices and all of the mandates in that regard probably doesn't help either. Now, I heard you just mention the Dallas Cowboys, and you've been out of Dallas for a while in Florida doing your thing and reshaping the whole Eastern Conference, and every casual NBA fan thanks you for that. Thank you for
no problem.
Thank you for breaking up that big three. I'm a LeBron fan, but I will digress. Thank you for getting him out of Miami. The Dallas Cowboys. Mike?
They have some issues, man.
I mean, okay, well, let's start with Sean Lee. He got dropped in the first week of training camp. They had the first preseason game last week, and it looked kind of like last year's regular season. Started off good, and the wheels come off late in the game. Defense, look what you said, soft. Some very shady tackling there. Jerry Jones, a good buddy of yours, is being misrepresented by Women of the Night. We'll just call them Women of the Night.
Yeah, we'll just call them that.
We'll just call them Women of the Night. And now Orlando Scandrick. Mike, help me out here. What's going on with Orlando Scandrick? What happened here?
Man, originally they said it was performance enhancing drugs, and he failed the test. But then it comes out that his wife gave him a Molly.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. A what?
A Molly. It's a drug, kind of like ecstasy, but it's called a Molly. And
look at you being all hip.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I've never taken it, but I'm just saying like.
Well, you've been in Miami, so I'm sure I'm sure you've seen a lot.
But I digress. But yeah, he's gonna be out 4 games, so there he goes. There's one of their cornerbacks, another defensive player.
So wait, so he was suspended 4 games for taking a what now?
A Molly.
Basically like an ecstasy pill.
Yeah.
So he got the same suspension as he would have gotten if he take like steroids, PEDs, whatnot. Correct?
I guess so. I guess that's what they're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I have a message for Orlando Scandrick. I'm sure you're at home listening to this. But you're on the worst defense in the league, the worst defense in your franchise's history, and you get popped for not using something that will enhance you on the field. I don't If you're going to lose 4 games and you're on the worst defense in the league, you need to be taking steroids. You know what, Mike? I don't.
But we digress. Isn't that right?
That's right. Man, stop playing, man. Who's calling you now, man?
Man, I don't know. It's from a Dallas number. Hold on, let me see. Hello?
I don't really have an excuse. I can't make an excuse. It was just one of those seasons you have.
Oh, it's Skandrick. Hey, man, what's going on? We were just talking about you.
Hey, Landro Skandrick, man. Big time fan of yours, man. But, hey, I got to ask you, man, how you taking this, man? You've been taking a beating on Twitter.
You can't take offense to it. I mean, it is what it is. You know, we live in a black and white world. You know, it's either you win or you lose, and the NFL is a black and white business.
Yeah, but this wasn't even football related. This was you popping a molly.
As a sports fan, you just got to have faith that, you know, us as athletes and us as Dallas Cowboys are motivated, and we use those things as motivation, and we want to come back and, you know, be strong and prove everyone wrong.
Hey, but Orlando, you kind of dodging the question about the Mollies, man. You acting kind of stuck up right now.
Especially the New Yorkers like yourself. And
Man, I'm from Tennessee.
Yeah, and I'm from Dallas. I just don't see how you can make that mistake. I mean, I can see a rookie make that mistake, but
I've been there 7 years now, so if we go back to my first year, we had, you know, names like Terrence Newman, Anthony Henry, Pac-Man Jones, Roy Williams, Ken Hamlin, we had DeMarcus, Greg Ellis, Anthony Spencer. We had all of those guys.
and still y'all didn't do anything with that roster. So my answer or my question to you is so?
So, you know, as a player, you know, I would like to say, you know, it's a system. You know, it's a team game. We need to play together as a team, and if we have everyone doing their job, and you know, we're gonna be better. I can promise you that. We have nowhere to go but up.
Man, we ain't talking about no team game right now or practice. We ain't talking about practice right now. We talking about, man, you talking about everyone trying to go up with you? That's a different kind of up, man.
Man, stop playing, Mike, man. No, man. Orlando, is he gone?
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Man, why do you do this to everybody that calls in, Mike?
Hey, I was just wondering how he got the mollies, and I wanted to know.
Man, stop playing. Molly's, huh? I'm going to have to Google that when I...
Yeah. Everyone's going to be right now, be like, no, keep listening. You can Google that after the show.
Once you get the Twitter handles, we'll give you the one for Google right there. Okay, so 6-10 is what you said the last time you were sitting here in this studio.
Yeah.
Are they going to maintain status quo? Are you hedging your bet here after everything you've seen in the last 3-4 weeks here in Dallas?
See, before preseason, I was thinking 6-10. They might give her a game or two. Take away. They might win one more game, maybe 7 or 5. But now I'm saying no higher than 6-10. So.
You mean the ceiling stops at 6 wins?
Yeah, they're not going to win more than 6 wins.
Well, I mean, there's no need for me to deny the fact that I'm an admitted Cowboy fan. And for you Cowboy fans that are listening to this, I mean, it's hard for me to refute anything that he stated because the proof is right there in the video pudding. But let's not forget that this was the same team who was the worst in the league in defense last year and still came within a game of winning their own division. Yes, Philadelphia is stacked. Yes, Philadelphia should be the favorite. But let's keep in mind, they still took it down to the last game with the Cowboys. There was no Tony Romo. The offense coming back this year is going to be a juggernaut. The offensive line was one of the few bright spots. At least the starting offensive line was one of the few bright spots in that game out there in San Diego. So, Cowboy fans, I mean, we can't refute anything that Michigan Mike just said. It's all true. But let's pause on the pessimism until we actually get to that said 9th loss.
Yeah, I mean,
let's keep it at the status quo 8-8 right now and let our chips fall at week 17 like it always does, huh?
Yeah, we can also wait for that Thanksgiving Day game. I talked to a lot of Cowboy fans out there, and I'm like, are y'all ready for that Thanksgiving Day game? And all these Cowboy fans are like, oh, who we playing? Man, stop playing. Man, y'all are playing the Eagles.
Man, nobody cares about the Eagles in Dallas,
okay.
man.
Now y'all know.
But Cowboys fans, it's time to look at the schedule, though. We can't.
Exactly. That's a big game.
Because he just put it on radio, and I can't defend that Cowboy Nation. So let's do better than that, Cowboy Nation. Okay, and speaking of doing better, we have a couple of QB battles going on, a couple of camp battles going on here in preseason. The most high profile, of course, is Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel with the Cleveland Browns. You got a chance to see him last weekend against the Detroit Lions. What did you think of Johnny football?
Yeah, I mean, Johnny looked decent. He looked good for a rookie quarterback. I would say he might get the start if Hoyer didn't do as good as he did, because Hoyer looked really good.
He was solid.
Yeah, he still looked like he was a starter. If Hoyer slips up, I can definitely see Manziel taking the spot. especially since Manziel has like one of the number one selling jerseys, and they spent all this money on him. So
That's insane, by the way.
So if they were the coaches, they might just throw him out there and be like, "All right, fans, this is what y'all wanted." Like, and then if he messes up, Hoyer, I mean, they'll be in good shape regardless, I think.
Okay, well then let's speed up your timeline a little bit. Now, the last reports we saw that Cleveland would name a starting quarterback following their Monday night game on Tuesday. Now, Hoyer is set to start, but both figure to get reps with the first team. You want to wait till next week to give your prediction on who may be the starter? Do you need to see anything else?
No, I don't. I mean, I see all I need to see, and I say Hoyer still. I mean, he was 3-0 for the Cleveland starting quarterback. So, I mean, I say give it to him until he loses it. So that's what I say.
Yeah, I think Johnny Football is definitely the future. I mean, like you said, he's already leading the league in jersey sales, and when you throw out some of the high-profile names in this league, that's pretty impressive. He's definitely going to be the quarterback of the future. From a football standpoint, I would probably start Hoyer as well, and just let the wheels fall off of him. And so he was 3-0 before he went out with the injury. Let him play as long as he can, because eventually you got to get Johnny Football on the field this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still stick to I don't think Manziel is going to be a good NFL. I think you give defense enough time to find his weakness in an NFL system, and I think he'll fall apart.
I think Johnny Manziel is here to stay. I think if he can avoid and I hate to throw him in the mix, but I'm a Titans fan, so why not? If he avoids the Vince Young type of mental meltdown, I think his skill set could do some things. I mean, he definitely has the cachet and the swag. And let's face it, I mean, LeBron's back in Cleveland. LeBron's going to teach that man how to continue winning. Now, two words that don't fit together with this team is continuing winning, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a brand new quarterback as well, who's actually been playing probably the best out of all of the rookie quarterbacks so far.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, and that's Mr. Bortles. Now, you're also donning a Michigan shirt, and the starting quarterback of that victory in that bowl game was Chad Henne. He happens to be going up against Bortles.
Man, I don't know why he's still in this league. I don't know why he is still in this league. I see him play, and I'm
Good
like,
coaching in Michigan.
Man, like, I guess because Jacksonville was waiting to draft another quarterback, and they finally got one. Bortles was really good. Even coming out, I said he was one of the top quarterbacks to come out, and he's shown why. He's big, he's physical, he can throw it in there in tight spaces, and he's showing that.
Yeah, he had a couple of very impressive professional throws last night, 2 nights ago against Chicago. Had a couple of bootlegs. He threw across the field, across the shoulder. He kind of made all the NFL throws. Chad Henne. You know what, though? But they have another dark horse quarterback on the roster, Denard Robinson.
We'll just leave it at that.
Hey, man, we don't do Denard like that, man. He carried us through that Rich Rod era, but we're going to digress. Speaking of new era, should there be a new era in New York? I mean, Geno Smith was the rookie selected in the first round last year. I mean, the team was a respectable 8-8. His play was probably just as inconsistent as the record. Michael Vick came on board, had I guess what you would call an impressive preseason performance last week. What say you, man? Who should the Jets troll out there?
Man, I say throw out Vic. I think, and of course, when's the last time he's played a whole NFL season? I think he's played one in his whole NFL career. But I say Vic. I say Michael Vick. I can just see Michael Vick handing off to Chris Johnson and do that little duo right there.
Right. They were very impressive with the couple of series that they had out there on the field together.
Yep.
I think this answer for me would all depend on the status of Rex Ryan. I mean, if he's solid in his job, then I say you go with Geno Smith and continue to build there and just let Michael Vick kind of spot check him. If you're on the hot seat, Rex Ryan, you got to go Michael Vick. Like you said. And if you can get 6, 7 games, what was his over-under? 7 games? 6, 7 games?
Yeah, I think it's about 7 over-under, yeah. Because
we already saw last week, he can't avoid the temptation of scrambling and diving and running like he's 27, 23, 22 years old. He's not going to hold up a whole year.
No, definitely not.
To do.
And then you'll have Geno Smith right there.
And then you have Geno Smith right there. So that's going to be interesting how they play that. I mean, it's still New England's division to be had, but they can't stay on top forever.
Nope.
Okay, all right. Okay, moving on to another one of our favorite pastimes of the fall, and that's fantasy football. You got your leagues all set up and ready to rock and roll?
Yep, ready to go. I think I'm doing 5 this year, so we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, think about the 1 or 2 leagues that you're on, and you have a hard time keeping up with. How many leagues you in again?
5.
He is a machine, but you already know that from all of the fantasy football shows in the past. But we'll digress. We'll get you right off that rim. Now, we have a lot of listeners that haven't played fantasy football before, and for whatever reason, we got a lot of female listeners as well. Shouts out, thank you all for listening, and a lot of them will actually be starting their own leagues as well. Now, what would be your general advice as far as the approach you would take to a fantasy football league if this is your first time in an office league, in a friend league, or whatnot?
Okay, first step I would do is read the scoring system.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Read the scoring system.
Please continue. That is the most important thing you can do.
Most important thing. Every league is different. Not all commissioners will let you know that they changed the rules. Or if you join a new league that's already existing, they're not going to let you know. So definitely read the scoring system. This is where it starts of who you're going to draft, who you're going to keep, what defense you're going to get if you have to draft for defensive players. So definitely read the scoring system.
Okay, and once you read the scoring system and you figured out kind of like your draft strategy, what is the mindset for the person once you log on to your draft site and you see what order you're picking? Well, what goes there? Let's say you're picking number 1.
Okay, if you're picking number 1, after you know if it's more of a quarterback league, if it's more of a running back league, wide receiver league, that's where you'll go. Some people like to go and look at rankings, like ESPN rankings or Yahoo rankings, or
Yahoo's a good one.
You can just Google top running back in 2014 fantasy. Definitely type in fantasy because fantasy points are not the same as regular stats. It goes after carry, over 100-point games, over 150-point games, things like that. So I would look up who you're going to draft and maybe do a couple of mock drafts. Mock drafts are definitely big if you've never drafted before. And this will give you a good chance of seeing what to do and what not to do.
All right, good stuff, Mike. Now, I've taken the liberty, since you've been away for so long, to be the Ask Michigan Mike question for this week. So
Okay.
May I please ask my question?
Go ahead.
All right, this is Paul, originally from Nashville, now in Dallas, Texas. And my question to Michigan Mike is, Michigan Mike, I'm in my first ever keeper league. And we keep 3 players, and I'm really struggling with who I should keep. I'm going to start right now with I'm keeping my quarterback, Drew Brees. I'm keeping my wide receiver, Jordy Nelson. And I'm down to Darren Sproles, running back for the Eagles, and Matthews, the running back for San Diego. Help me out, Mike. What should I do?
Man, okay, so keeper leagues are a whole different ball game. This pretty much is, if you want to put a title to it, it's like a franchise player. You're going to franchise one of your players from last season, and then it carries on to the next season. You have to look at many things. You have to look at injuries. Are they going to be able to play for you for the whole season? They can be a good wide receiver or a good running back, but if they've had health situations in the past, then they're probably not going to be a good keeper.
Okay.
So you want to look at that. Between Ryan Matthews and Sproles, though, I think probably Ryan Matthews, since he's going to be the one that's starting. So I would say Ryan Matthews.
Okay, all right. Good looking out. I will do that. Now, as we're sitting here and we're talking about this, a couple of other players came to mind that I know that are on other people's teams and are very popular players that I want to get your thoughts on as well, especially for people who may come onto a league that's taken over for a franchise team as well. So let's start with Julio Jones, wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons.
Man, okay. This is one of those things where it's a high risk, high reward type thing.
Okay, why is that?
Because he just came off of an injury. They say that he's healthy and ready to go, but yet he didn't play in the preseason game. So we don't really, unless you watch Hard Knocks, they showed him like one time catching a pass.
Okay, and to digress for a second, what's that been like? I haven't been able to catch that yet.
Hard Knocks is pretty good, yeah. Atlanta's showing some pretty good, solid players, better than last season. So,
better than last season.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, back to Jones. Sorry.
So I would say he's still one of the top 5 receiver when healthy. So I would keep him.
Well, what about his quarterback,
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan? Yeah.
I would, man. So
oh, decisions.
yeah, Matt Ryan's hard because last year he didn't do very good, but then again he lost his 2 wide receivers, he
Right.
lost his running back,
Right.
his tight end was that was his last year, so he was just up in that. They were pretty much double teaming Tony Gonzalez the whole time.
Right.
So I say keep him. I think he's going to be a good player this upcoming season because all of his threats are coming back.
Okay, well then let's move on to Dallas's Tony Romo, who ended the season with an injury.
Man, okay, so injury. I think he's going to get hurt again, so I wouldn't keep him.
Now, in the interest of fairness, this is fantasy football Mike talking and not Philadelphia Eagles Mike talking, right?
Yeah. I mean, because, I wouldn't keep Tony Romo. That's just me. I mean,
you didn't keep Tony Romo, right?
Yeah, I didn't keep Tony Romo in one of my keeper leagues. But then again, I mean, you have to look at where your draft spot is, too. Like, I know that I'm going to be, like, 4th or 3rd or 5th at my draft, so I know I can afford to drop my quarterback who's an average fantasy quarterback coming up this next season and maybe get a better one. Or I could probably pick him back up if he's the top quarterback at that point. So I'll keep, my 2 running backs and a good wide receiver, and then I'll have, a quarterback to get.
Right. I like Romo with the 30 and 30 if he can stay healthy, but we won't see much of him in the preseason. I think we'll get a glimpse of him later on this evening when they play Baltimore. But you're right, that's an unknown variable.
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
Another player in that same position who was doing very well before losing the season with an injury was Tampa Bay running back Doug Martin. What say you?
I wouldn't keep Doug Martin. I know he had a good stats before he got hurt. I wouldn't keep him. No. I mean, maybe if it was a 3-keeper league, maybe. But if it was a 2-keeper, no.
Okay, gotcha. And last but certainly not least, Josh Gordon, who we actually the season may be underway before we even know his status this year. Risk reward? What say you?
No, I say don't keep him. No, I mean, in that scenario, I think it's too much of a higher risk to get a low kickback from it. So I say drop him.
Okay, and I'm sorry. Let me give you one more last but not least because it just came to me just now. Johnny Manziel, we'll talk about that. He has a lot of fans. And we know it's homer time when you get out of the setting up your starters. At what round do you start to look for Johnny Manziel to add to your rosters, maybe your sleeper pick, since he will probably start and finish the season if healthy?
I mean, it's hard to say on what rounds because, of course, by being in fantasy drafting, every draft swings so fast. Like, everyone could be picking running backs, and all of a sudden that first person picks a runner or a quarterback. Then they're like, oh, I better get my quarterback, and then it falls from there.
Okay, well, let me ask you like this then. At what point on your roster, when you're looking at the roster that you've already have drafted, do you go to look for, okay, now it's okay to add a Johnny Manziel?
I would probably draft Manziel right before my kicker.
Come on, Mike, stop.
Man, it's those bench players, man. You got to get those bench
right
players
before
too.
the kicker, Mike. I mean, you got to get a backup quarterback, right?
No,
we'll pick this conversation up definitely on the first episode of the Fantasy Football Show, which will be coming to you very shortly. Now, Mike, I know earlier you said that you had something that you just had to get off your chest, Mike. So the floor is swept and is yours.
You know what? I actually forgot about that until you brought it up, and I'm glad you did. So everyone knows that these preseason games are going on the NFL Network.
Yes.
Man, I mean, we've been pampered with Fox, football, and then CBS football. They have good announcers.
Great announcers, yes.
But NFL announcers, man, they are just bad. They're homers. You can tell, like, during the Browns game, Manziel was throwing in, and one of the guys, like, threw it, and he was jumping on the wide receiver for not catching it. And he was saying, he doesn't even look like he should be here, blah, blah, blah. The perfect pass was right to his knees. Like,
was where?
To his knees. Like, what receiver wants the ball at his knees when he's doing a cross route? Like, is he trying to get the wide receiver killed?
Right, absolutely. The one that's going to be on injured reserve if he does that.
Yeah, and it was behind his knee at that. But he kept playing it and like, look at this. This is a perfect pass. This is right where the wide receivers want the ball. No, they do not.
It was pro Johnny.
Man, it's just everything. And all of a sudden, like, even the other guy, he's an announcer on the NFL Network, and he was announcing the game as if it was a radio broadcast and we didn't know what was going on.
What do you mean?
Even though we're watching it, like a baseball game, kind of. All right, the snap goes back, the kick is up, and it's good. They go up by 3 points. Yes, we know every field goal is by 3 points. We saw the snap. We saw it go. Like,
insulting your football intelligence in a sense.
It was just like maybe did he come from a radio broadcast? I don't know what happened, but yeah, he definitely. And then he was just calling wrong defenses that were out there. It was just bad. It was just bad.
If you've never watched a game with Michigan Mike, do yourself the favor and put that on your bucket list.
Man.
It is quite an experience. I feel your pain because I've kind of been morphed into your football watching experience, and
behind the knees though,
that was very pro Johnny.
I almost broke my TV when I heard it. I was glad I had a DVR because I went, and I asked my cousin next to me, I was like, did he just say at the knees? And he goes, yeah, I think he said at the knees.
Shouts out to Eli.
Man.
Shouts out to
Come
Eli
on, NFL Network. Spend some extra money and get an actual announcer. How about that?
You came out good on the whole lockout deal, so everything should be good with the NFL Network. Good stuff by you, Mike. A lot of people agree with you. That also needs to be a part of the basic cable package. Rod Goodell, let's add that to your Hey, brother, work hard for his money. That need to be a part of the regular. Okay, let me. The only time I can see my Titans.
Are we all ranting right now?
Well, the only time I can see my Titans is on NFL Network. So I mean, and if you're making me pay for it, you're kind of strong arming me there, Goodell.
That's true.
I'm a faithful fan. I'm in a league. You know what? And if you'd like to rant about the NFL, you can always join my conversation by reaching him on Twitter at
Michael Hasso. That's MichaelJasso.
And you can always reach your co-host at PL Culture. That's at PLCOLTER. Ladies and gentlemen, life is a sport, so always play to win.
Go Blue.